Andy Amaya.
I'm an Apache, but I was raised in East Los Angeles. I grew up in City Terrace. About 1959, we were in Salt Lake City, Utah, and we'd been sent on the long distance education program. Basically, we were kidnapped because we weren't in schools on the reservation. They went around looking for kids on the res who weren't running around, and the suits would come in and pick you up, take you in. Then we have to send you to a boarding school. So me and my sisters, we ran away, ended up in a train, and I ended up in a foster home in East Los Angeles. We used to come back here and did school, sniff glue and smoke weed because the cops never came around. So it was like, hey, let's just go that dead part of town, you know? That was like in 1965, 66, 67. It was just all warehouses and stuff, off of Santa Fe, under the bridges, and in the river. As a kid, I was a shoe shine boy, and I used to shine shoes downstairs, and when it was the trucking bar. But I never had ever had intentions to live here, other than being sent here by the parole department when I was released from prison in 77. I was involved with this group called the American Indian Movement. All of us were involved at the shootout at the Pine Ridge Reservation. The charges was at first a murder charge. Finally, ended up with interfering with federal agents. I ended up in Lompoc Federal Prison, and I did a little time in Leavenworth where the case was being held, where we got busted at. My final charge was interfering with federal agents because there was no evidence of me having the weapon that the two feds were killed by. They blamed it on Peltier, and essentially because he was the leader. Downtown was a place I've never really wanted to live, ever. I was frightened of it, the homelessness, the winos, and it just was somewhere I never wanted to end up. I came straight here because this is where they told me to come. Basically, it was Skid Row to me, and I was like, hell no, I'm not going to live here. They gave me a voucher and a paper, and every time I sign it and date it. So at the end of the month, I would take it to them and show them that, they never checked on me. I had a few buddies I would bring from over from the neighborhood, and we would bring heroin here and slam and then go back. It was safe here. We could do anything. We could, holler on the roof and whatever. I didn't associate with anybody, I would just come and go. Because looking out of these windows, the buildings and pipes, I called this part of town Palookaville, black and white. Just looked all black and white. Well, I just thought of it as a rundown, sleazy looking old place. I just really didn't care for it. I wasn't used to, sharing bathrooms other than in prison. But in prison, they're kept clean. I didn't like it here. I didn't like it in the building until the art scene started to happen. Well, the art scene to me was the music down in Al's bar. I knew him when he was helping in the bar. And I didn't like him. He didn't like me for some reason. I didn't hate him. I just didn't know how to be a friend to him. When I came back at my second time around here 11 years ago, he had just had a surgery in his stomach. He had a tumor or something. I think he was a little bit more grouchy because he was in pain. But I didn't know that. I didn't know what was going on. So every once in a while, and I would pass by and look in the store, hey, you fucker, and he'd come running after me, saying, you son of a gun, And he wouldn't let me back in the store for a week or two, and then finally I'd go in and get some papers or steal them from him so I wouldn't have to hear anything. Zigzag papers and shit. My issue with that Indian was, that wooden Indian was, to me, it was a derogatory statement towards natives. But I looked at it as an art piece in the neighborhood, and I felt kind of related to it. And after Bloom died, I took it because I didn't want it to end up misplaced. A lot of people assumed that I took it because it was an Indian. Joe, when he was dying, I was helping him. I had a little truck, so I would buy the groceries for the store. I started to look at that as Joel, in a way, the Indians. Joel Bloom was a friend of mine. And I wanted to keep it around for Joel. It belongs here. So that's why I took the Indian. after I was already not living here. But I used to come back here, like I said, to shoot up heroin, and Al's bar was happening. And I had a friend named Eloy Torres. I started to hang out with him here. I wasn't doing heroin anymore then. I was just a drinker. And then he goes, hey, let's go downstairs. You know, there's going to be a good band playing. And I said, oh, what do you mean? I said, yeah, all right. And I saw all these punk rockers and Mohawks. And in fact, it was Christian Death and the Plugs. The Tito La Riva band I liked. But the other one I couldn't deal with. But the scene, I liked it. There was a pool table in there. And I had been just out of prison. I was still leery about crowds of people. The first time they had a mosh pit, you know, in there, I was playing pool. I thought it was a riot was starting to happen. Me and my friend were picking up pool balls and throwing them through that opening, you know. Well, you want to have a riot, you know, flam, and we, you know, we didn't even know that they were dancing, you know. They threw us out. They threw us out. And music was my thing, you know, because I had a little band that we used to play down there at No Talent Night. And we were an East LA Chicano band that we came here and played old 60s rock and punking it out, kind of, you know. And getting to it with everybody, you know, yelling in the mics, you know, fuck you and your family and shit like that, you know. So it was fun. We were able to let out steam, you know. It was like a place to kick the walls in, I thought, you know. It became a place that I felt safe. I could actually come and party and, you know, cut loose, and the music was happening, and everybody was cool with me. I mean, for the most, a lot of people were scared of me because I carried a big old knife, you know, like that, like a hunting knife. I pulled it out on a couple of people, you know. They would call me, I forgot who it was calling me Injun Joe from Huckleberry Finn. And I couldn't go in the bar with my knife, so I would stash it somewhere under a car, curb somewhere. I've been battling alcohol for the longest, and I still go out and have a couple of beers, but that's all I can handle. I have no more room for it. But when I landed back here 11 years ago, I was coming down from alcoholism and the last shots of heroin. And when I'm that way, I'm literally mean. I become a mean, grumpy Indian, you know? I make racist jokes. It's only because I'm Heyoka. In every society, people have jesters, clowns. Mexico, they have payasos. On the native side, it's called the Heyoka. We're the class clowns, the outcasts. We're the ones that could laugh our ways out of murder, a situation which I pretty much have done in my life. I never laid a hand on anybody, you know. Not like some guys who like came through here and pulled knives on people. I never done any of that, but I would just express how I felt at the moment. 2002 or when I came back after living, you know, Northern California, and made a couple of children and didn't work out. So I said, I'll go back to the American Hotel because it was cheap. I felt accepted here for who I was. People accepted me no matter what. This place was good for me. I was fighting alcoholism and drug addictions, and I had to come here, downtown, where it all started for me, and come face to face with it and with myself and say no. That's the reason why I'm here. It was fun. When I first came back, there was a party everywhere, speakeasy, a tweakeasy, or whatever around was going on. It was fun, and then all of a sudden, Joel got sick and he started dying, and it all started to die with him because they were building the condos over here down the street, and then the hot dog place, the worst cooch. It was starting to become more and more snooty. I started to feel like the people around here, the young so-called artists, are just here for the moment. Color their hair a little bit weird and wear some funny sunglasses, and then they disappear. It's a poser culture, you know, spoiled kids leave home from the suburbs to come to Los Angeles and experience LA. This building has a lot of spirits. There's a lot of shit that has happened here, death, and you name it. And I felt them when I first came into this place. I wasn't afraid of it. I felt welcome to it, you know? The people bring in their baggage. They could bring their past with them. They could bring their clutter. And then with the clutter and spirits that are left behind in this old place, then you got a circus, a spirit circus. I have a property in Northern California, and I'm going to go home to my child. I have an 8-year-old. I have a woman, and I have property and an alternative farm.
Cut.